executed. You are to be 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 executed.
No, you are.
You are to be executed. You are to be executed.
After the success of Terminator and RoboCop, we got a slew of copycat films in the late 80s and early 90s. One of these movies was Cybertracker, directed by Richard Pepin and starring Don the Dragon Wilson and Richard Norton. Now this takes place in a future where a corporation has developed essentially androids to be the policemen of the future, and there is some resistance from the populace as they feel that they are lacking the kind of the human compassion that you would feel in normal kind of police and stuff like that. But this corporation, obviously to protect their own bottom line, wants to kind of push ahead with it. And Don the Dragon Wilson plays a character who is a bodyguard of like the CEO of this company, who initially saves his boss's life and is then tried to is let into the kind of inner circle where in effect he learns that there is a lot of dodgy dealings and corruption and things kind of going on, and ultimately decides he wants to kind of change sides and fight for the resistance. So there is a number of kind of these androids sent after him, along with regular kind of human bad guys like Richard Norton. What will happen? You have to watch the movie to find out. This is really a paint by numbers cyber thriller science fiction movie from the 90s, really lacking any kind of imagination. However, there are a couple of things that I will say in the plus column here. Number one, I think there's actually some fairly good stunts here. The 90s were great for large petrol explosions, people getting flung through walls and stuff like that, and some decent martial arts. And all that is on display in this movie, I think. And obviously this is a relatively low budget film, but I have to say some of the kind of the special effects in regards to the pyrotechnics side of stuff like that, the stunt work is all actually pretty good here. And the story is pretty undemanding, and if you just want to kind of watch lots of kind of fight scenes and, you know, cheap looking kind of Terminator rip-offs fight Don the Dragon Wilson, then, you know, you'll get plenty of that, because we actually get a number of different, what they're called cyber trackers, or trackers as they're just down in the film, actually fight Don the Dragon Wilson. I guess I like one thing here is that they're not quite as indestructible as, say, like the Terminator. They do seem, you know, relatively easy to defeat, and that may be a good and a bad thing, because ultimately they don't possess that much of a threat. In fact, there's, I think, 3 of them in the movie, and spoiler alert, Don the Dragon Wilson defeats all 3. But, you know, it kind of gives it a little bit more. They're not the ultimate kind of like killing machine like other movies. But again, that's a negative as well, because why have an ultimate killing machine if they are only marginally more effective than a human police? It seems like a hell of a lot of money to waste. In actual fact, in the actual movie itself, Norton's character is far more effective against Don the Dragon Wilson's character than any of these kind of cyber trackers, to be honest. In fact, that he comes the closest to be able to, you know, defeat the good guy, so to speak. This movie is just quite trashy, however. The plot is just ridiculously simple. I mean, why the bad guys revealed their plan at the beginning of the movie to Don the Dragon Wilson's character is beyond me. It's just silly bad writing. Like, no one's going to care. We just need to kind of move the story forward. The acting in this movie is pretty atrocious from the majority of the cast here, including Don the Dragon Wilson, who is really variable, I find, in his kind of performances. Sometimes he can be quite watchable, other times he is extremely kind of amateurish at times, and this feels like one of those times. I suspect this movie was quite quickly shot and not a lot of takes done. That's kind of the impression I get here. The actual special effects in regards to the cybernetic style of stuff, not particularly interesting. This movie actually does have a sequel where I think they kind of did turn the volume up a little bit in regards to visual styling. I mean, science fiction styling. Here we've just got a muscly guy in a leather jacket, but we don't really see a hell of a lot of the kind of the robotics kind of side of stuff. It's a little disappointing. kind of in regards to that. And I think the second movie actually has more of a fun aesthetic, albeit maybe not quite as realistic, but hey, what can you say? What do you expect from these sort of things? The plot is very kind of basic and lackluster. Ultimately, this is one of the more forgettable mid-90s kind of cyber or cyborg movies that we had a slew of then. And ultimately, this is one where I don't know why they had a sequel, really, because it really wasn't all of that. But nonetheless, some people may still enjoy it. It does have a little bit of brainless kind of action sort of style to it. So I'm going to give this one a 4 out of 10. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave me a comment and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.